What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Veteran and Rookie Podcast. Back like we never left. This is your veteran, Benea, here speaking.
And this is John. Hello, I'm the rookie.
And you might be wondering what brought us back after all this time. And it was our favorite guest, David Landis, back with the draft special. How are you doing, David?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good. Good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, it is quite excellent. You know, it would be better if the Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl, because we haven't been on. I haven't been on since Kylie was the last on before me.
She was on more recently. She recorded a podcast in our new studio before you did.
Yeah. Anyway, the Bills lost sadly. The
Packers won happily.
The Packers won unexpectedly, and then lost.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay because they weren't expected to win, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, as I famously lost hope in the middle of the season on the podcast, picking against them.
That's insane that you did that.
That was a new low.
Yeah, terrible. And also the best team in football, the Ravens, didn't show up to play in the playoffs apparently.
Well, they did the first week, I think.
Well, when it was against.
It was so long ago, I don't even remember.
Dude, nobody needs the news from us. We're just. This is what happened.
If someone's listening right now and they're just catching up on what happened in the playoffs, I don't even know what to tell you.
We're just recapping right now. It's been a sad time.
It's a recap episode. Yeah, John needed to take some time to recover after that Bills loss.
And as soon as I started recovering, they traded Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
And we have no receivers now, and we got rid of our entire defense. It's literally just Josh Allen out there with 2 tight ends and a decent running back.
Mm-hmm. But maybe, just maybe, they'll be changing things
in the draft.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. That's what we're doing today.
A little mock draft. David, do you want to do the honors as the first overall pick?
First overall pick, where are you going as the Chicago Bears? I am excited to see what direction you take this in.
Well, thank you. The Chicago Bears, they, for the last probably 50 years, maybe 60 years, have needed a quarterback.
Maybe even 100 years.
And
I don't think that.
Yeah, probably. In all honesty, probably what was it? Jim McMahon was the last okay quarterback they had when they won the Super Bowl. They had Jay Cutler for a while, and he didn't really work out either. Yeah. Anyways, I'm taking the quarterback of the future. Some scouts consider this quarterback prospect to be like the next Patrick Mahomes. Is a lot of the pro comparisons. It's the quarterback Caleb Williams. Yeah. He's generally the consensus number 1 overall pick here. Do I think personally that he will be the best quarterback in this draft class? Probably, yeah. He probably will be. I like a different quarterback better. But for the Bears and their situation right now as well, they need a new face of the franchise. Fortunately, they have pick number 9 coming up, but this number 1 overall pick, this will be Caleb Williams. And I am 99.9% confident that's what we will see in 9 days.
Oh, yeah. I would be shocked if they went any other way. I mean, there would have to be some kind of crazy scandal that goes on in order for him to not go first overall.
I think even then, I feel like he's been trying to get himself out of the Bears because he's just been being silly of late and painting his nails and being all girly, and
he's like, please, anyone else,
please anybody else draft me, because I don't think Chicago is yes, painted nails.
Yeah, but I feel like there's been so much talk about Caleb Williams the last 2 years too, because he won the Heisman 2 years ago, and I feel like that's when I at least first started hearing about him and all the Patrick Mahomes comparisons, and then wasn't as good of a season last year, but he was still good, and so there's just the draft talk seems to have come full circle with him, where he's the next Patrick Mahomes, to now it's a lot more negative stuff about him. But I don't know, maybe just people got tired of saying all good stuff about it. But we'll see if Chicago actually has their quarterback of the future.
Probably not. They ruin quarterbacks all the time.
They would have ruined Mahomes.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. That would have been cool, actually. Never mind.
Well, you wouldn't have known that, though.
Yeah. Maybe we would have hated Justin Fields if he had gone to the Chiefs.
Probably.
He'd be like the best runner ever, and he'd be in crazy deep ball, and he'd have 4 Super Bowls right now.
Yeah.
He'd be better than Mahomes. Do you want to take second?
Sure. I'll
take
go
third.
Redskins here. They're most definitely going to be taking a quarterback here, I would say. They traded away Sam Howell to the Seahawks, I think, like a month ago. So it looks like they're going to be going quarterback here, and the top quarterbacks available that most people are saying are Drake May from North Carolina, and then the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels. And I'm going to go Jaden Daniels with this pick, a bit more mobile of a quarterback. I've heard his mobility is actually like really good. It's really high up there. John and I, at least, the veteran rookie, we don't watch a ton of college ball, so we kind of just mostly go off of like what we hear on like our expert sources and such, we'll say.
TikTok.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on that one, David?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, super mobile, but he's not just a mobile quarterback. He was actually number 1 in college football with QBR. It was 95.6, which is really high.
Wow.
He had 40 touchdowns, 4 picks, which tells you he's very good. He's very clean in the pocket, doesn't really make many mistakes. And he had almost 4,000 yards throwing. I mean, this guy, don't get me wrong, his mobility is such an asset, but you are getting a full picture quarterback with Jaden Daniels. He's definitely NFL ready. I think the big knock on him is how much of an upside does he have? I personally think he's got way more to go. I think the Commanders definitely, obviously, they need a quarterback. And with the new front office, I think that's a perfect pick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess it's my turn now.
Time to pick the next Tom Brady.
As the Patriots, we're going to draft a 6th round wide receiver who's white and undersized would be the way to go here for
Checks
Bill
out.
Belichick. I actually like Drake May more than I like Jaden Daniels from the very little I've seen. But, I mean, that's the only pick left for them. I guess there's other quarterbacks on the board, but I think Drake May is the only real option here. It's been a second since I've heard anything about him. I deleted TikTok because, I needed to cleanse my brain and get rid of the rot. But last I heard of him, it was Josh Allen comparisons, and I like Josh Allen. But he throws a lot of picks too, so Josh Allen, I guess. Any thoughts, David?
Yeah. Drake May, he's probably the most athletically gifted quarterback in this draft class. He does have a turnover issue for sure. He's got 9 interceptions. His QBR is still pretty good at floating at around 80 over his 2023 season. I think the big knock that a lot of people have on him is that there's just some obvious throws that he missed when you look at his tape, and that is a little concerning. But overall, he makes throws that you look at and you go, NFL quarterbacks can't make those throws. And so Drake May, as far as talent, yeah, he can make some mistakes, but his upside is pretty high. And he's a big character guy as well, which any locker room ought to love. So yeah, that's a great pick at number 3.
And I really like the little blue outfits that they wear. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, you like the light blue for the Tar Heels?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that.
So just keep them in blue.
Keep them in blue. Patriots should have better uniforms. They should put the throwbacks on. I like the throwbacks. David, you're up next.
All right. Well, with this 4th pick, a lot of mock drafts that you'll see that the Cardinals will trade out here, or they're gonna do something fun. I'm gonna be honest. There's one obvious player that should be taken right here, and that's the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. is my lock for the Cardinals. He is the best route runner in this class. He still has 4.4 speed, and he was in a situation last year with Ohio State where you really didn't have the best quarterback in the world. It wasn't the best offense, yet he would literally carry his team um, week in and week out. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. You're getting um, a phenomenal player. My pro comp to him is AJ Green. Don't know if guys remember him back in the day, but
Yeah.
he's very skilled, very athletic, very talented, and super smart. Um, I don't know what's not to love about him. So he goes at 4, and the Cardinals desperately need some sort of skill position right now, and I think there's not a better one in this class.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of the Cardinals potentially trading down, maybe with the Vikings or some other quarterback needy team, or maybe someone who wants Marvin Harrison more. But yeah, I agree. Like, you got your quarterback locked down in Arizona, and that's like more or less about it. And so he doesn't really have any weapons to use. So you go get the son of a Hall of Famer who, at the very least, in terms of hype, is the most hyped up wide receiver I think I've seen in my time paying attention to football and whatnot. Maybe the most hyped up wide receiver since like Megatron when he came out in, I think, 08 or 07 when he was drafted. So very high expectations for him, but I mean, he's been hyped up for years now.
Yeah, I would say that this is a good spot for someone like the Vikings to trade up to get a quarterback or someone that wants Marvin Harrison. I Here's the thing though, it's got to make sense for both teams. And the Arizona Cardinals have 5 picks within the top 100, which tells me they don't really need draft capital. So unless it's a player trade, I just don't see the Cardinals passing up on a generational wide receiver.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him play, especially with Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray's good when he's not, super injured or playing bad. But I'm excited to see that happen because I mean, he's a big dude and he's a freak too. I've heard other comps to like other really good receivers and I can't remember who it might have been Megatron, but I've seen some of his film and it's kind of crazy. I want him to go out there and bully DBs. It'd be really cool to see.
Imagine he just falls to the Bills.
Please. Dude, if he falls one more, I think the Chargers would take him for sure.
Oh, yeah, but because they can't take him now, Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board, and the Chargers got rid of their best 2 receivers in the offseason. They cut Mike Williams. They traded Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert is in a similar situation to Josh Allen now, where he just doesn't really have anyone to throw to, minus even like the tight ends part of it. He's got like Will Dissly, from Bozeman High. Love to see that. But other than that, like, and even then, he's hurt half the time anyway.
They got rid of Eckler, too, so he has no dumps, and he doesn't run. The Chargers are screwed.
So that's why, at number 5, I'm going to have Jim Harbaugh here and the Chargers take Malik Neighbors out of LSU. And if it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., just from everything I've heard and seen, sounds like easily the best. He would be easily the best wide receiver in this class.
For sure. I'm going to need some help here with this Giants pick. I haven't been paying too much attention. I see that they need a receiver, a corner, a running back, O-line, and a safety. Any thoughts from the 2 other men who know a little bit more than me?
Sure, yeah. So the Giants right now, they don't have Saquon Barkley anymore. They need playmakers desperately, and because of their contract situation, they're locked into Daniel Jones for at least another year. So most people are mocking this pick to go wide receiver. Malik Neighbors is probably the most mentioned name here, but he's already off the board. So the next pick would probably be Rome Odunze out of the wide receiver out of Washington. All 3, I might add, all 3 of these wide receivers could easily go in the top 5 in any given draft year. This just happens to be a really deep wide receiver class. So the Giants wouldn't be a bad pick for the Giants. They could also go offensive line. They could go cornerback. But that's kind of where the Giants are.
Yeah, there's that funny name dude at the top, the offensive line out of Penn State. Almazit. I'm not even going to attempt that, actually. Benet, you want to try that?
Olu Fashanu. So Olu is what they call him. It's Oluwa, but Olu is what most people call him.
That's a cool name. What do you think about him?
So Olu Fashanu, he's a raw offensive tackle. He's probably not the best in this draft class. Most people will give that to Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. But he probably has the highest potential, meaning he's got a lot of intangibles that a lot of other tackles don't have on the line. So he's more of a developmental prospect, but he's a very good player. So yeah, the Giants could go that way. I honestly I think they might go more towards, like I said, a wide receiver here like Roma Dunze or even a Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. But they definitely not need offensive line as well. So wouldn't be shocked if they went there.
They have a tight end though, didn't they? Just last year they got.
They traded for Darren Waller, but he wasn't very good. He hasn't been very good since like 2019 or 2020.
Do you think that they'd like take a first round draft pick as a tight end here though, or do you think it more likely that Roma Dunze?
My guess here would be Roma Dunze, but the tight end could go. Honestly, he's that good. He could go here. He's one of the best tight ends we've seen in a long time. So wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, just because of the value, wide receiver most likely.
I'll take Roma Dunze at 6, and you basically just picked for me. But you're back up again with the Titans.
Yeah, for sure. Before I move on to the Titans pick, and this is kind of a segue into it, Roma Dunze, with at least what we're hearing around the league, is a lot of people's number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. So that tells you right now how good these 3 wide receivers are. This is not unlikely what you're seeing in this mock draft. This is actually more than likely of what you will see on draft night. So Roma Dunze, I would highly recommend watching his tape. He's a phenomenal talent. With that being said, the Titans are on the clock, and they are super excited. They are running in their pick right now. Joe Alt is the pick out of Notre Dame. The Titans' offensive line is one of the worst in football, and they desperately need a tackle to protect their new quarterback of the future. And so they're happy. Joe Alt as a tackle is the best, most NFL-ready prospect in this class. He's a very powerful, explosive mover, if you will. He is extremely well, specifically in his pass blocking, which is really going to help. Does struggle sometimes in his run blocking, but seeing the direction of the Titans of getting rid of Derrick Henry, that doesn't seem to be as much of a concern. So I think Joe Alt's going to be the pick here, especially if he's here.
Yeah. I saw somebody doing like a breakdown of him, and maybe they're putting him a little bit too much praise on him, but they were saying that he could, like you said, he's NFL ready, and they were saying that he could be an All-Pro first year.
Yeah, that certainly wouldn't surprise me. The guy's also, he's 6'8", 320
Holy
pounds,
crap.
and that is a big offensive lineman. Most offensive linemen are not that large. Just to really give you a comparison, Olu, who is the other, if you will, like rich athletic prospect tackle in this class, he's only 6'6". So like that just shows you how gifted this tackle it really is out of Notre Dame, and so the Titans should be happy with this.
Yeah, I bet they will be.
Yeah, they definitely need more help on that offensive line, so that way Will Levis isn't back there getting killed.
Ooh, baby, the Falcons.
Yep, they are up next, and they have seen just an absolute run on offense so far. But they're going to be the first team to pick a defensive player. I'm going to have them going edge with Dallas Turner out of Alabama, first defensive player off the board.
Yeah, I got nothing to say about that. I'm glad. I think the Falcons. Apparently, I do have something to say. I'm kind of excited to see the Falcons this year. I hope they're good. They moved a lot of stuff around and got a lot of new pieces in, and they have Kirk Cousins, which I like Kirk Cousins a lot, and I hope he's really good there. Maybe he'll win his second playoff game.
Ooh, could be huge.
In 14 years or something. I'd like to see that because there's a lot of good players there, and they kind of weren't really used well. I really like really like the running back Bijan Robinson. He was crazy last year. I think he could have been up there with McCaffrey, but he wasn't used enough, I don't think, and I guess he just kind of disappeared in the second half of the year, especially for fantasy owners. They were mad. But it's my turn.
Did our local draft expert have any thoughts on Dallas Turner?
Listen, Dallas Turner is a phenomenal edge. He's definitely the best edge rusher in this class, at least in my opinion. Just his size and athleticism is really hard to come by. And he has some great tape from Alabama, so he's playing against those SEC schools that have those really premier offensive linemen. And he just wrecked the whole entire SEC last year. He was phenomenal. And looking at that Falcons depth chart as well, they don't really have much at defensive end besides someone like Grady Jarrett. They really don't have anything there. And so that is definitely a position of need. And considering how much they addressed their offense this offseason with getting Darnell Mooney in free agency and kind of bolstering up really their whole offense with getting Kirk Cousins, this should be the pick for the Falcons. I love it.
Cool. Somehow I have the Bears. I apparently I'm not very smart, and I thought that David was going to get this twice, but that's not how numbers work apparently. I think I'm going to take Olu as the offensive lineman to protect their new quarterback of the future that they're going to have for 2 years and then waste his potential. I'm not sure how great of a pick that is because of their other needs, but I do think if it were me, not knowing anything about the Bears, I will take Olu here.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think that's a safe pick. The Bears have, like you said, they have so many needs. And so I feel like you could just pick the best player available and you'd be totally fine. And Olu at this point is definitely one of the best players available. So I think that's a great pick.
Thank you. Oh, the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Jets. What do we think?
Okay, so with this Jets pick, I'm a little upset because none of those top 3 wide receivers are on the board, and I'm in win now mode if I'm the Jets. So I want those weapons, as many as I can for Aaron Rodgers. I think I might be looking. Does anybody down low want JJ McCarthy and want to hop the Vikings?
Well, as the Vikings right here, because I was just thinking I might want to do that before the Broncos or the Raiders, who are right behind me, try to take this Jets pick at 10. Let's see. As the Jets, then I'll offer you move back one spot. You get pick 11 here. We'll say their second round pick as well to move up one spot. I don't know how high their second round pick is.
I'd be fine with that.
As the Broncos, will give you a first this year and a first next year. We won't do that. We'll give you our spot. We'll trade you, and then we will give you. I think our second's higher than yours. No,
I think it'd be higher.
Okay, I have a good trade proposal for you for the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
So I want both of your firsts this year because you have 2. I want 11 and 23, and they'll give you our second rounder and our third rounder next year. Because I'm in win now mode and I want as many weapons as I can as of right now. And so I'll take both of your firsts. And you can have a second and third next year build for the future.
It's a deal. Anything for our quarterback of the future. Boom. The Vikings have jumped up. And now as the Minnesota Vikings, we are going to take the quarterback out of Michigan, J.J. McCarthy.
Whoop, whoop.
He's really good at handing the ball off. I saw him do that in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
David, you know a lot more about the Michigan quarterback than either of us do. What do you think?
Yeah, the Wolverines quarterback, he's touted by a lot of prospects as their favorite quarterback in this draft class. His QBR actually was 88.2. He was third in college football, which is very good. Although he only had 22 touchdowns, which is a little concerning, so not much production. He only had 4 picks, so not too bad. But when people look at him, they see winner. Because as much as, yes, he handed the ball off quite a bit, he did make some key throws, especially in that national championship game, to really solidify and the Wolverines' championship. And so, although he's probably not the premier first round pick that most people dream of or think about, I think this is a great move for the Vikings, because let's be honest here, they're not going to want to start the season off with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, and you're getting a bona fide winner with that at that position. And he kind of reminds me in some ways of a Jalen Hurts-esque prospect. Not necessarily because of the athleticism, but because he finds ways to win. Even though when you look at him on tape, he's not always the best quarterback when you're comparing him to some of the top guys. But definitely, that's definitely worth having, and the Vikings should be happy with this pick.
Yeah, whatever it takes to not have Sam Darnold being your starting quarterback going into the season.
Well, now you're the Jets. What do you think?
Am I still the Jets here?
Yep, you're still the Jets.
This is where Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, goes. Mm-hmm. Having that weapon for Aaron Rodgers I think is going to be crucial for them. I'm not sure how much of a need tight end is, but I'm going to be honest. I don't really care. What they need is they need a win. And Brock Bowers gives you the best chance of that out of any of the players on the board right now. His size and his speed really was an anomaly at the college level, and it's going to really translate, I believe, to the NFL level. I can't really give a better pro comparison than maybe like a Dallas Goedert type player or maybe a Mark Andrews-esque type player. And just having that extra weapon is going to make a huge difference for Aaron Rodgers. And when you look, just before we move on, when you look at some of the teams that have won the Super Bowl within the last 8 years, it's usually the teams that have that presence in the middle of the field, that player that can control the middle of the field. The Rob Gronkowskis, the Julian Edelmans, the Travis Kelces, the Zach Ertzes, if you will. It's those types of players that really help win and solidify the Super Bowl for those Super Bowl winning teams. Brock Bowers is that for the New York Jets. And if I were Aaron Rodgers, I'd be stoked.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you were saying. The Jets, they're in big time win now mode. They might only have this year, maybe the year after, if Aaron Rodgers is even the same Aaron Rodgers coming off of this torn Achilles. And so they need to be going all in this season, and getting another weapon for Rodgers is exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn as the Broncos. We didn't get our quarterback, and that's a bit frustrating, but we'll get something else here. We'll get this. I think I'm just going to stop asking for help and just start making bad decisions. We're going to take this corner out of Alabama. Terran Arnold is who we're going to take here because I see that they need a corner.
Yeah, the Broncos more or less need help pretty much everywhere. They got some good players, but that's your Patrick Surtain Juniors and your Courtland Suttons and whatnot. And even then, it's not like a great cornerback room or a great wide receiver room. It's kind of just a few good players sprinkled here and there, but they could really use help, I think, at pretty much every position.
Yeah, their starting quarterback right now is Jarrett Stidham. So I'm thinking right now on the Broncos' behalf, they're gonna need to take a quarterback. If not in this first round in reach, they will need to take him later on in the rounds. I'm looking at them trading to get Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. or a Spencer Rattler, if that be the case, down in the third round. They're going to need to address that quarterback position. With that being said, Terrion Arnold is one of the best true corners in this class. It's really between him and Quinyon Mitchell. Arnold has a lot better tape against better competition to show for it, and so great blue chip prospect right there at number 12. I still think that's actually a pretty good pick for Denver.
Yeah, they could have reached down. Projected at 29 to Michael Penix. They can get somebody else too. I think Bo Nix is probably going to be available.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they trade back up into one of those late picks.
Yeah, trade with the Cardinals. Or well, probably not the Cardinals, but
Yeah, something like that. All right, I think David's back up again now as the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm the Raiders, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't love a lot of the people that I see on the board for the Raiders. I think I like Latu, the edge out of UCLA. He had like 20 sacks this season, which is a college football. I think it's a college football record. So is a great edge rusher right here. They don't need an edge rusher though. They need a quarterback, and if I think I can get one later on, I guess my question is there anyone that wants to trade up to 13? Because if not, well, I'll ask that question first. Anybody see a player that they like for one of their teams they're picking for later on?
I'm the Colts, the Jags. I'm the Rams. We get an edge there.
And we'll just make ourselves our own respective teams as well, I think. I don't know if that will all line up or not, but
Okay, I don't know how you put this in. I'm making a trade with myself. So
oh,
I'm
what
the
are you
Seattle
doing?
Seahawks. I'm the
Uh-huh.
Seattle Seahawks, and I want that edge rusher. And
Okay.
that's a huge position of need. And he's a guy that's worth moving up for. So I'm gonna, as the Seahawks move up, I will trade. Just do anything to make the trade really go through, as long as those picks are swapped. The Seahawks move up, and they get Laiatu Latu, edge rusher out of UCLA. He's 6'4", 260-pound defensive end. Literally the only thing that you can say bad about him is that he has a little bit of a medical history, which is not great. Um, but if you look at his statistics, he came off of a neck injury. You look at his statistics for this last season, he had 13 sacks, 28 solo tackles, he even had 2 picks and 2 forced fumbles. He led I think it was a program school record. Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, even though Dallas Turner, who went to the Falcons, is the best edge rusher in the class, a lot of people say that Latu is. Like that's a conversation a lot of scouts are having. So I think this is actually a very realistic trade for the Seahawks. So I'm gonna have them trade up and they get their edge rusher.
I like it.
Yep, they need help on that just defense as a whole, and now that they got Mike McDonald there as the head coach, a very defensive minded guy, he's gonna want to put his mark on the defense, and it's one of the first moves you do, taking defense in the first round. All right, let's see. I am the Saints. They could go quarterback. Not that there is really a quarterback worth taking at this point. Let's see. I don't really know anything about this offensive lineman out of Oregon State. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, this guy has a lot of. He's a big man, so he's 6'5", but he's 324 pounds. This is a big human being. Um, he's a pretty good tackle. A lot of people are saying he's got some versatility, meaning he can play guard as well. Um, he's probably best at his pass blocking. He's not, once again, not the best at run blocking, so he doesn't move as well as some of the other offensive linemen in this class. With that being said, his initial punch off the ball is second to none in this class. He's going to be a very good offensive player at the next level. I think the Saints would be lucky to get him, in all honesty.
And that's exactly where they're going to go. They need help on that offensive line. Trevor Penning hasn't really panned out for them so far. I think he even got benched through parts, if not a majority, of last season. You got injuries to their other tackle Ryan Ramczyk, and so they need some help on that offensive line, and that's what they're going to be getting here.
It is my turn again. I am the Colts, and I have a brand new baby quarterback who didn't get to play a lot of last year, and I have like one receiver. Is Pittman Jr. still there?
Yep.
Okay, I have
Yeah,
one
they
receiver.
signed him to an extension.
Good stuff. I like
re-signed
Pittman Jr.
him.
He
Yeah.
says some funny stuff. He is a silly goober. But they do need a lot of things here. I'm not sure if going down to Brian Thomas is the best move. What do you think, Davis? Wow, David.
Yeah, Brian Thomas he has 4.3 speed. Brian Thomas before the combine really wasn't in the discussion for a first round pick at all. But his combine tape really improved his draft odds. He will most likely be taken in this first round, maybe a little bit later than this, but not too far. So you wouldn't be off taking Brian Thomas Jr. if you wanted to make that pick for the Colts. I'm looking at players like Quinion Mitchell, who's a perfect scheme fit corner. It's a perfect scheme fit for their defense. And Quinion Mitchell, if you want my pro comparison, is Sauce Gardner. That's how a lot of people are treating him in this draft class. It's a mix between that and of course Devin Witherspoon from last year with the Seattle Seahawks, which I'm going to be honest, either way you couldn't really go wrong. I don't think, although some people say they need an edge rusher, that's really not their biggest need. I would suspect them going either that cornerback or they go the wide receiver route and go with Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I'll go with that corner. I was eyeing both of them, but I mean, I'm an offensive fellow, so I just like my receivers. But I will go with that corner there. Bolster up that defense a little bit. And now
Quinion Mitchell, just to say something about him, the pro comp is Sauce Gardner, and that's mainly because he really only has 1 year of like really good tape. With that being, and he also comes from a small school, Toledo is the school that he comes from. With that being said, when you watch his tape, he looks and moves and acts like Sauce Gardner. And when you look at his combine tape, he was better than Terrion Arnold at the combine, which is the corner from Alabama. So a lot of people are saying he might go ahead of Terrion Arnold. So that's a phenomenal pick.
Good stuff.
Okay, as the Raiders at pick 16, I think there's a lot of players here that I like. When I look at the Raiders QB situation,
Golly.
I don't love it.
Are you gonna go Pittix here?
I'm going Penix. Michael Penix is the pick at 16. I think it might feel like a little bit of a reach, but I think the Raiders, it's a pretty desperate need for them, and honestly, I think if Michael Penix will be as good as a lot of people think he is, this isn't a reach at all. Michael Penix was that Washington quarterback in the championship game. Pretty good player. A lot of people are calling him a 1-year wonder, which is not great, but he's got pretty good athleticism. A good pro comparison is a guy like Tua Tagovailoa would be a good pro comparison, minus the injuries, of course. So I'm sure the Raiders would be happy with getting a player like that.
Does he have the same arm strength issues and the issues with being left-handed?
Actually, I was just about, yeah. Thanks for correcting me on that. He is a left-handed thrower, so that is something that he shares in common. But his arm he's got a rocket on him.
Okay.
In fact, that's one of his biggest strengths is that he can throw really far. So, I should say as a pro comparison, he's a high end Tua Tagovailoa, and I think he will. Honestly, I think that will translate to the NFL level. Like I think the Raiders aren't reaching here at all.
I would like to see a good Tua Tagovailoa in the NFL. That'd be pretty cool.
Tua if he was good.
A rookie.
Yeah, you got to have something else to sell Devontae Adams and all those other guys on instead of Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew being your quarterback going into the season.
I like Gardner Minshew.
I like him too, but
he's like a good backup
starter.
Yeah,
high-end backup.
I saw somebody, I think it was Pittix, or Penix, whatever his name is, and they were like, Michael Penix Jr. is like the man. He's the best. Like, if you need him to throw it 80 yards, he will. If you need him to throw it 5 yards, he'll throw it 80 yards. And it was just like him overthrowing like everybody. So I don't think arm strength is the issue there. I think it was him.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That is one of the knocks on him. So yeah,
that checks out. All right, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Up next. I'm tempted to go Brian Thomas here because they lost out on Calvin Ridley, and they got Christian Kirk, who's a good one, but then after that, you got Gabe Davis, who's very hot and cold. Zay Jones is their 3. You got Parker Washington. Like it kind of falls off pretty big after Christian Kirk and then Gabe Davis there. They also need help on the defensive line, I think, too, though. They could use a defensive tackle. They did get Eric Armstead in the offseason, which does help out some there. Or they could go offensive lineman. You got the guy out of Washington. You got a guy out of Georgia here. You got a guy out of Alabama. What are your thoughts on this as my my draft consultant, Mr. David?
Yeah, a lot of needs for the Jaguars. I think, sure, the wide receiver position is a need, so Brian Thomas Jr. would not be a bad pick. It is a deep wide receiver class, though, so maybe the thinking here is you could get one later on in the second round. When I look at their needs really are defense. So I'm thinking either defensive tackle or cornerback. When I look at the cornerbacks on the board, I see a guy like Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. He's phenomenal, and he would not be a reach at all going at this spot. I see a guy like Cooper DeJean, the defensive back out of Iowa. Just put on his tape, and you'll have a fun time watching him. And then there's 2 defensive tackles. There's Johnny Newton and Byron Murphy. Both of them will go in the first round. Both of them, any given, I guess, Saturday for college football, are absolute game wreckers. So I don't think the Jaguars could go wrong with any of those picks.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. They definitely have more needs on defense than offense. And I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins there, the corner you were talking about, out of Clemson.
Is that the white guy?
No, that's Cooper DeJean.
Nate Wiggins is not a white guy. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm the Bengals. I need a defensive tackle ferociously, I believe.
You do. You could also go receiver here. You don't have Tyler Boyd anymore, and T. Higgins is probably gone after this season too.
I think there's enough,
but there is
depth in the second and third round that I could get somebody, and I don't need a number 1 receiver either, so I can get somebody who's a little bit farther down the draft. I think still good value, but I think I will go D tackle here. David, do you have a preference between Johnny Newton and Byron Murphy?
Both are really, really good. I think the Bengals are actually targeting Johnny Newton, so I actually think they like him better. Personally, I really like the way Byron Murphy plays, the Texas guy. I love how he plays off the edge. I don't think you could go wrong with either of these picks. Byron Murphy is a little smaller than Johnny Newton, but not by a ton. I think the safe pick would be Johnny Newton, but I think Byron Murphy's probably has the higher upside.
I think I'm going to go with Johnny Newton, especially since you were talking about the Bengals liking him. Then, yeah, I mean, could go either way, really.
All right. Am I up then with the Rams?
Yep.
Yeah, we just lost Aaron Donald.
Oof.
So I think we're having the same conversation that we just had. I think Byron Murphy's probably our pick here.
Makes sense.
And no one's going to fill the shoes of probably the greatest defensive player we've seen. A lot of people say ever. So I've got to pick Byron Murphy here, at least to fill some sort of a void at that tackle spot. Byron Murphy won't fill that void completely, but it's a start. I mean, you're getting a pretty great defensive player prospect here. Doesn't quite have the best rushing defense if you will, but he's really good at getting to the passer, and so perhaps Byron Murphy's a pick here.
All right, next up we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see. Needs they got here. They got offensive tackle, corner, receiver, DB.
Dude. It says they don't need a quarterback. That's crazy.
Well, they got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, so they're at least not going to take one in this draft. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Troy Fontenot out of Washington, the tackle?
Yeah, well-built blocker. He's really good at both run and pass blocking. He's really good all around. A lot of people are saying he could go as high as pick 11 and pick 10. So I definitely think the Steelers would be getting a great player out of him. I don't think there's a whole lot of concerns with him. I'm just not sure. I just don't think a lot of people are sure how his game is going to be able to translate to the next level. But because he is about to turn the age of 24, and that's pretty old for coming into the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there is some skepticism there. But for the most part, if he wasn't 24, if he was younger, I think he could be one of the first tackles off the board. That's how good he is.
Yeah. So I guess I'll break the trend of the Steelers always taking a linebacker in the first round here, and they'll take the offensive lineman out of Washington.
Okay. Yeah. The Dolphins were up. Several line positions, I'm saying. Offensive guard, offensive tackle, defensive tackle. It says receiver. I don't think they need a receiver. Corner. There is Brian Thomas on the board, Brian Thomas. And I don't think they need a receiver though. They have two really good receivers. I think they're gonna go offensive tackle here. I'm just not sure which one. I just seen names.
So the two tackles that are on the board at this point are Amarius Mims, tackle out of Georgia, and there's J.C. Latham, tackle out of Bama. In all honesty, I'm shocked J.C. Latham's still here. He's a very good tackle. In my opinion, he's one of the best in the class. Amarius Mims probably has the highest upside out of any tackle in this draft, though. He's definitely more of a developmental prospect. With that being said, Amarius Mims in about 3 years could be better than any of the offensive linemen in this draft. So one is definitely a little bit more risky. And I definitely don't think you're off at all because the Miami Dolphins desperately need help, specifically in their interior offensive line. Their center and guard positions are pretty bad right now. So I could also see them reaching and getting a guy like Graham Barton out of Duke or Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. But yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah. I'm going to go with J.C. Latham. Latham. Yeah, him. I'm going to go with that guy out of Bama.
All right, now we got David and his Philadelphia Eagles lining up perfectly.
Yeah,
I'm a big
I'd be shocked if Howie Roseman picked here. He's way more likely to trade this pick either going up or down. It's just his draft history. He doesn't stay put. He doesn't know how to. So, I guess my question is, do the Buffalo Bills want their wide receiver? Because they can come up and get him here.
Oh, man. I don't...
Brian Thomas Jr., Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Donde Mitchell
but there's
Xavier Worthy.
There's good wide receivers with depth. I don't want to...
But you need so many receivers.
I do. Yeah.
I'll stop. I can stop picking on you, John. It's okay. You don't have to trade.
No,
I'm just offering.
I may. Should I? I
do it
think
for the memes.
Okay, I'll do it for the. Oh yeah, I'll trade up with you.
Alrighty. Just do whatever you want as far as the trade goes. We don't have to sort out what exactly the Eagles get.
But I'd like to keep both my first rounds though.
I don't think we would be wanting a first rounder from you.
Okay.
But actually, in all honesty, the Eagles picks in 2025, we have a first, second, and third round. That's it. We only have 3 picks next year.
Oh,
So
wow.
Jeez.
I guarantee the Eagles will want some draft capital next year. So I could see that happening.
We'll give you guys a 4th and a 5th for next year. And call it a day.
Just for that.
That's it, yeah.
You keep your other first round pick.
Keep my other first
You're not
round.
even trading it up.
No. But so it is the receiver that I'm going to grab first, because I think I'll be grabbing 2. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's the move there out of LSU. Correct? Maybe, perchance.
There we go.
Yeah, Brian Thomas out of LSU. It seems like LSU is a wide receiver factory when it comes to NFL caliber wide receivers. So he at the combine, like I said earlier, he ran 4.3 speed. He was one of the fastest guys there. And when you watch his tape, he's pretty good. Actually, when you look at his college level tape, kind of looks like Justin Jefferson, especially with wearing the LSU colors. So that's what a lot of people will give the comparisons to. I don't think he's as sure of a thing as Justin Jefferson, but I definitely think that's a great pick for the Bills.
We could have had Justin Jefferson, but we traded our pick away for Diggs. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, the Eagles could have had Justin Jefferson, but they took Jalen Reagor instead. The pick in front of them. So
yeah, but I think you guys are chilling with the receiver, though. We are not. You guys have 2 good receivers, and we have tight ends.
Yeah.
So Jets are back up.
Jets are back up, and there are 4 offensive linemen here that are still projected to go in the first. Are there one of these, David, that you think is the most pro-ready to just plug and play this season, throw him in the starting lineup?
I definitely think Amarius Mims is not that player. So he is not the pick here. If you want to go offensive line for the Jets, I think Graham Barton is actually the most versatile. So he can, like people are saying, he could play tackle or he could play center. So that's why a lot of people love him. He's probably not the best offensive lineman in this draft, but just for versatility's sake, that's why he's storing up a lot of people's draft boards.
That's cool.
That sounds like something that the Jets could use this season because they just need offensive linemen in general. Because their offensive line, they went out, made some improvements in free agency. They made some trades for like Morgan Moses and whatnot, but they continually need help there to protect their 40-some-year-old quarterback now.
So do they still have Zach Wilson?
He's their third-string quarterback.
How is he still there?
I don't know.
He should be in the XFL already. Professional XFL player.
Yeah.
Graham Barton. Okay, so that was supposed to be David.
But that was me.
That was you anyway.
Yeah.
And now it's me again. I'm the Cowboys.
You, and then I guess I'm the Packers, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, but
Cowboys.
then I'm Bills. You can be the Packers. I don't care. Or David, do you want to take these Cowboys? I'm sure you love taking as the Cowboys.
I'll take the Cowboys if you guys want to.
Yeah.
So Cowboys just lost one of their best offensive linemen they've ever had just this offseason. And so you can bet that that's probably where they're going to gun for. I guess my question is, and this is a conversation that I'm not just having because I'm an Eagles fan. It's a question because a lot of people are talking about it. Are they sold on Dak Prescott?
No, they shouldn't be. They should not be sold on Dak Prescott.
Because hear me out. If they're not sold on Dak Prescott, there is a potential they take a quarterback here. and trade Dak away. There's a potential for that. There are some rumors swirling around in the NFL world that has to do with whether Dak's the man or not. I'm not going to pick a quarterback. I'm not going to be that crazy, but I think it should be in the Cowboys' minds, especially in a quarterback deep class. So
for sure, I think Dak could go somewhere else and do fine. I don't think he's a winner, honestly. I mean, people could say the same thing about Lamar or Josh Allen, but it just kind of seems to me, from what it seems different from him, and that's because I'm biased. But I just don't think Dak Prescott is that guy. I don't like him. That's probably why I'm saying this. But maybe they do go quarterback here. I was thinking they give Dak another year because he just had a good year, and then maybe next year. But if they could get a quarterback and then train him up, then be ready for next year.
I'm going to take the most realistic probably pick here. I think I'm shocked Jared Verse is still on the board at this point. He's a phenomenal edge rusher, but the Cowboys don't need edge rusher. So they don't. In fact, I think they're pretty set on their defensive line. So I'm going to go Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon here. Great interior offensive lineman. I think if Graham Barton was still on the board, they might have taken him. But I think the Cowboys are going to get a great player if they choose him. Speaking as an Eagles fan, I actually think he's a very good player, and the Cowboys would be lucky to have him. So
and a baller name to boot.
Yeah. All right, next up we got my Green Bay Packers, who I'm going to be picking for.
Mr. Packer.
And they could go with someone on offense here, but I think they're going to go on the defensive side of the ball, specifically in the secondary, because they got Jair, and that's about it. Eric Stokes, first-round pick from a few years ago, he's dealt with injuries, and just things haven't really panned out with him so far. And we did sign Xavier McKinney in the offseason, which is nice. Another good player to put back there in the secondary. But what I see a lot of Packers fans seeming that they want is the DB out of Iowa, Cooper DeJean, and that's the direction that I'm going to be going here.
Safety.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean's probably, if you ask me off the clock, he's probably my favorite player in this class. He's very rare athleticism and ball smartness. I think he thrives more in a zone defensive scheme than a man-to-man. With that being said, Eric Weddle would be my pro comparison. Like when Eric Weddle was really good, pro comparison. Mm-hmm. I think Cooper DeJean's going to be phenomenal. I'm going to love watching him. If he was a Packer, I would absolutely love that. I think that's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see him play just there in the secondary with Jair. Mm-hmm. I think that could be good.
Yeah.
Is that me? Tampa? Do you want to go and then, or David, and then you, then me?
You want to pick for the Eagles?
Oh, did you trade my first round?
Oh, yeah, you traded up. You don't.
No.
That's not how that's going to work.
I couldn't trade with mine.
Okay.
So I just had the Bills here.
Okay,
I guess I'll pick for Tampa.
Yeah, you can go Tampa.
And we're going to take that edge there. We're going to take Jared Verse.
Yeah.
Crazy he's still here.
Keep him in the state.
Kind of weird with these people picking. I guess they don't really know what they're talking about.
Two of these GMs are just clueless.
Yeah. 2/3 of these GMs have no idea what they're talking about. But I am going to take Jared Verse. Yeah, I'm going to take him. We need an edge.
Yeah, that would if Jared Verse is still here, I think that's phenomenal value. I would be very happy if he were still here. He's phenomenal Florida State edge rusher. Transferred a few times in his college career, so never really got settled in a defensive scheme. With that being said, he has great numbers, great athleticism, and he tested well at the combine. Really checks a lot of boxes. So, yeah, that's a good pick.
I don't think he'll be there, but the way we drafted, he is there, so I'll take him.
There we go. Let's see. I guess I can take the Cardinals, and then David can take the Eagles. Like we were saying earlier, when the Cardinals were picking at 4, they need pretty much everything besides quarterback. And now they got their wide receiver 1 of the future. And let's see, they could go offensive lineman here, or they could go somewhere on defense. And I think that's where I'm leaning towards. I've heard a lot of good things about Chop Robinson. Do you have any thoughts on him, David?
Yeah, he's a guy that he could go as high as 15, 14. He's a guy who could go as low as the second round. So a lot of different opinions on him. He tested so well at the combine. A lot of power, a lot of burst. He really wasn't really on a lot of people's radars until this last year. Defensive players out of Penn State usually fare pretty well.
Yeah.
Usually. I think that this would be a great pick for the Cardinals here. Yeah. So I liked his tape. I like Chop Robinson's tape. I think the big knock on him is that there's not a lot of it because he really wasn't on the scene until this last year. So.
All right. Well, that's the direction I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals going.
Now it's the Eagles back up from where they traded from earlier.
Yeah, we're trading back down again.
Checks out.
We're trading with the Denver Broncos. The Broncos need a quarterback.
Based.
Denver will give them something for something, and Denver's going to move up here into 28.
Are they going to take
I don't
Bo
know.
Nix?
They're going to take Bo Nix. So Bo Nix, the pro comparison for him is Drew Brees, which is perfect for Sean Payton in Denver. It would really give Sean Payton no excuses to be a good NFL team. So I think this is the route that the Broncos should go. And when you look at a lot of the reports, it seems like the route the Broncos want to go. They really liked Bo Nix at his pro day. And if I'm being honest here, I don't think there's any players here that the Eagles would particularly want unless they want a developmental prospect like Amarius Mims to really maybe as your backup tackle for Lane Johnson maybe. I think this makes more sense for the Broncos. And like I said earlier, the Eagles only had 3 picks next year. I think that tells you they should trade down.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And that's such a Howie Roseman thing to do, too. He's always trading up or trading down, even if it's just a couple of spots. And so, yeah, Eagles trading down twice wouldn't surprise me at all.
Mm-hmm.
John, you want to take the Lions?
Sure, I'll take the Lions. I kind of like Kool-Aid McKinstry for the Lions.
Yep, they need a corner.
They do need a corner desperately, and I think that's a silly, funny name. I think he'd look good in light blue.
If only the Jets had taken him, they could have Sauce Gardner and Kool-Aid McKinstry back there.
That'd be so funny, dude. Who did the Jets take? Not him. They didn't take a corner.
No, they went offensive lineman and tight end.
Well, what if they went corner? That would have been cool. What do you think, David?
I don't think the Jets need a corner, but that would be really cool to have both those names in your backfield. And I will say this: Kool-Aid is a starter. He's a starting corner day one. So if he were on the Jets, it would be Sauce and Kool-Aid as your DBs, which would be great.
I was talking more so for the Lions here with Kool-Aid McKinstry, but
yeah, the Lions just lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson in their secondary, and so that
Cam
really
Sutton
is the position of need here. I think some of the picks that the Lions fans would want to look for here is if Cooper DeJean fell past the Packers. I think he'd be a good fit here in Detroit. But Kool-Aid, if Kool-Aid's here, you got to take him. Kool-Aid is before Terrion Arnold and a lot of the combine a lot of the corners tested at the combine, Kool-Aid was the number one corner on a lot of people's draft boards. So if he's here, Lions ought to be thrilled, and it's the exact position that they need.
Did he not test well at the combine?
He didn't test as well as the guys like Terrion Arnold did, his teammate. But when you watch the tape, he has a lot more tape on him, and he has a lot more clutch plays, if you will, than some of the other corners in this draft. And like I said earlier, with like guys like Quinyon Mitchell, he's from Toledo, so a lot of his tape is against players that have no business being even in college football. Meanwhile, Kool-Aid is making plays against Malik Neighbors, right? Against players that are on the NFL level. And so I think Kool-Aid's a phenomenal pick here for the Lions. They should be happy.
Would it be possible, perchance, if the Bills could trade back up into the second round, or from the second round, get us another receiver before Kansas City picks one, perchance? Because that's you, Benea, and then David, and then me.
Mm-hmm.
Could I interest you in not having a first round pick?
You as in, did the Lions already take Kool-Aid?
Lions took Kool-Aid.
Lions took Kool-Aid. Okay.
I'm trying to interest either the Ravens or the Niners with the Bills being in their spot instead of them.
As the Ravens, I'm already looking at that wide receiver position, and I'm not about to trade with another team in the AFC that wants to go grab that same position that I need.
David.
So,
as a Niners fan, I love trades, and we can talk after this Ravens pick.
We'll do.
So, as Baltimore here, definitely looking to the wide receiver room. And you got two Texas receivers there that are projected to go around this area, and Dundee Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, who set the 40-time record at the Combine. I've also heard a lot about Keon Coleman. Do you have a favorite between these three here, David?
Keon Coleman he's a great wide receiver. I personally like him maybe the best. With that being said, Adonai Mitchell is most people's number 5 wide receiver. It's actually some people's number 4 wide receiver on the board over even Brian Thomas. He is got good size, good speed. He's got 4.3 speed. He's 6'2", so he's a really good all-around wide receiver. Tested really well, and when you look at the tape, he's a really good possessional catch guy. So I think whoever takes him, they're going to get a pretty good wide receiver here. Xavier Worthy is more of your deep speed threat. So at the Combine, Xavier Worthy ran 4.21. He shattered the record. So if you take him, you're getting essentially Deshaun Jackson back if you're a Ravens fan, except the younger version. And as Adonai Mitchell, you're probably getting a more well-rounded wide receiver here. Keon Coleman is, I don't want to understate this. Keon Coleman's a great wide receiver. He's more short range, pass possessional catch kind of a guy. He's 6'3". He ran 4.6 at the Combine, which is not great. It's not great at all. So that's really Keon Coleman's only weakness, is he's not super fast and quick like the Texas receivers are. With that being said, he doesn't make many mistakes. He's very good at catching and receiving the ball.
All right, nice. I think for Baltimore here, I'm going to go with Mitchell out of Texas, just the all-around good, well-rounded wide receiver, another weapon there for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I think I like that one too, because Xavier Worthy is 5'11" and 165 pounds. He's a tiny little guy. And, I mean, he's just like Tyreek Hill, kind of. So
imagine he went to Tyreek Hill's old team.
Man, if he goes... if the Chiefs don't take a receiver here, I'll be shocked. I think.
Yeah.
Because they have what's his name? The one guy who's like
Hollywood?
no, the younger guy.
Rashee Rice?
Yeah, they have Rice.
Technically still on the roster.
That's I mean, kind of. They don't have a lot.
Yeah.
With receiver. Do they still have Kadarius Toney on the roster?
They technically might.
That's hilarious if they do. I think that's really.
I don't think it matters if they do or not, though.
Yeah, but they need somebody. We're on the Niners right now.
Yep. Do the Bills want to trade up here?
Unless you have a really good trade offer, Amarius Mims is going to be my pick because we desperately need offensive linemen, as you guys watched and saw in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And Amarius Mims is a like he could go much higher than this. Like he could. A lot of people are saying he could go up to 15, 16. So unless you have a really good draft, unless you have a really good trade for me, I would, as a Niner, I'd probably pick Amarius Mims here.
I do not. I'm sorry, but I don't. And yeah, it says he's projected at 16, so we kind of whiffed. We let him fall.
Well, he's more of a developmental prospect, so I wouldn't be shocked if teams, especially early on, didn't take him. But if you're a team like the Niners, who you have basically every position covered, you're totally fine taking a developmental prospect at this point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a great pick here. A lot of people mock Amarius Mims going to the Ravens actually at 30. So okay. I could still see him going here. I don't think it would be out of this world. But that's my pick here.
Yeah. Well, as the Chiefs, like I said, I think they go for a receiver. Do you have a different opinion, David?
Unless they want to fill their corner need because they just lost L'Jarius Sneed. So I do think of that. But besides that, yeah, they should probably go wide receiver here.
I think it'd be crazy to have Tyreek Hill back in a younger form and faster. So I think they take Xavier Worthy. Yeah, I think that's who I'm going to take as the Chiefs here.
Yep.
And yeah. I mean, anything else to say on that one, David?
No, not at all. You kind of hit it. Tyreek Hill, the thing I love about Tyreek Hill is he's not just fast, but he's also tough too. Xavier Worthy's 5'11" and it weighs 165 pounds. So he's a small guy. He's not a big wide receiver like Tyreek Hill is. With that being said, he runs 4.21 speed. So all Pat Mahomes needs to do essentially is chuck it downfield every other play.
Mm-hmm.
And Xavier Worthy will be fast enough to run underneath it. So, yeah, that's a good pick.
Tyreek Hill is 5'10", 185. So he's just a bit heavier and shorter. I mean, I could see Xavier Worthy. Is that who I just picked? I could see him bulking up and getting kind of to that level. It also said Tyreek Hill's 40 was 4.29. So I don't know. He didn't go to the combine, did he? He didn't run at the combine, so they don't have like an actual, but like that's high school or something. So he might actually be faster than Tyreek Hill.
He could be. He could be. I like those. Although it's only 20 pounds lighter, don't underestimate how much those 20 pounds matter. His lean frame. And I will say this: a lot of wide receivers come into the NFL being said about them, they're too lean. They're not gonna be great. And you get guys like Devontae Smith that said about them, and they come in and they absolutely shine. So you're absolutely right. He could be good.
He's 175 and 6'2", I think. So he's real skinny, but he's a tough guy too. He looks like a stick figure out there, but I mean that's also how I look, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, I think he'll do well, and hopefully that other receiver drops far enough to get to the Bills. Maybe we'll trade up in the second.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the annual mock draft. there will probably be more episodes in the future of the Veteran and Rookie podcast. You just got to get back into the swing of things here in the off season.
Yeah, off season blows, but we'll have each division or each conference breakdown like we did last year, and then we'll have QB, running back, wide receiver rankings, and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
And then some other things to look forward to. So yeah, we'll be back probably sometime soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, David, for joining us. As always, it was a pleasure.
Big time thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had fun.
It was fun. Thank you for telling us how to do our podcast, because we have no idea. We appreciate the insight there.
Yep, we need you for these episodes.
Honestly.
All right, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye.